service because those in administration carry out particular responsibilities, whereas those in the administrative things, and whereas those in the teaching service deal with the imparting of knowledge to students and providing guidance and counseling to young minds, and therefore a special dispensation needed to be had to address the concerns of teachers. Now, within the teaching service has not really changed much in terms of its structure since the 1940s, 1950s. So you have principal, and then you have teachers. In recent times, we brought on board graduate teachers, so graduate teacher position, to take on board because back in the days, people who taught never had degrees. It is really when we came as a government and we started focusing heavily on education that teachers started having degrees. Teachers started to believe and to accept that they could get degrees. There were one or two who were able to go and get teaching degree as principals back in the days. But school teachers, classroom teachers, started getting access to opportunities for university education. So we had, in the first time really, people those with degrees were only really at the secondary school level. They were not those at the primary school level. So a school principal at the primary school level did not have a degree. Now, maybe all of them have degrees. Or they're working towards the degrees. So you have, and in secondary schools in particular, I will treat the secondary schools for the time being. You have a situation where a school in 1940s, 50s had 40 students, and then you have a principal and teachers. Now, with a school having 800 students, the question is, how could you have that same structure? It's like a business. The more you grow, is the more expansive your administrative structure becomes, the management structure becomes. So if you are one person working, and then you expand and you expand and you expand, or you have a wider clientele base, you will have to employ more people to provide the service and have a better structure to ensure that accountability issues, governance issues can be addressed. So there's a deputy principal position at the secondary school, but this is an informal arrangement. It is not recognized by law. That is to say, it is not on the schedule of positions in the public service. You have heads of department, so you have a head of the math department, head of the English department, head of the science department, but this is an ad hoc arrangement. It is not again recognized by law because it is not part of the schedule. So somebody cannot go and tell you that I am deputy principal of a school, neither can he be so addressed in a formal way, because he has no instrument from the constitutional authority to grant him that position and that authority. That is the Public Service Commission. If you don't have an instrument for the Public Service Commission, and you're in the public service, you cannot call yourself something that you have not been called by the Public Service Commission. And then you have situations where teachers have to leave the teaching service in order to get a promotion within the public service. But these are people who would have loved to stay in the public service if they would be given an opportunity to stay in the public service. So what we're proposing as a government to the country is to create a new structure for the secondary schools. So the proposal is that we would retain the post of principal.
Yes.
We will now create two positions. So a school like the Boston Secondary School and Grammar School, etc., would have a principal, two deputy principals, and two assistant deputy principals. And then you would have the position of heads of department.
Yes.
Then you would have the positions of senior graduate teachers, senior qualified teachers.
Yes.
And in between that, you will have guidance counselors and people who would provide psychosocial and counseling to students. And the thinking there is that the two deputy principals would have no teaching responsibilities. And one would assist the principal in student-related issues and the welfare of students. Okay? So you'll be responsible for the sports department, the welfare of students, the guidance counselors who will be providing care to students. Students have an issue, you will look after that. Students who do not have the economic means, you have to ensure that they have the ability to attend school, etc. And then you have another person, another deputy person who will deal with the pedagogy, the timetabling, the management of staff, the supervision of staff, helping in that. And then you have the 2 assistant deputy principal who would assist the deputy principal in the carrying out of their duties and mandates. Okay? And so somebody now who is a head of department in grammar school, once that mechanism comes into law by way of it being on the schedule, you would get, if you are selected as that person to head the department, an official appointment from the Public Service Commission. So you will be a teacher of English and head of department for English.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Which is really similar to what you have the dean of the
dean of faculty,
the dean of faculty for education and the dean of. So you really would be a dean of that of the department, but we can't call you a dean because we call a head of the department.
Yes.
And so the deputy principal at PSS, if he is the person selected for deputy principal, he will get an official instrument. So now his official title would be deputy principal of the post-secondary school.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you would now have an opportunity now for upward mobility within the secondary school system. So I could come in as a qualified teacher and find my way up to deputy principal, eventually to principal position.
Yeah.
So I could move from qualified teacher to senior qualified teacher, and that senior qualified teacher would come maybe a couple of days after you would have been in the deputy in a position, and so at the seniority. There's rank and seniority. Okay, because as it is now, there are people who have been retiring in the teaching service in the same position they came in 30 years ago, and it robs these teachers of a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment and a sense of mobility. Okay, and this will also help our students, because they would have greater access to people who are prepared to listen to them and to manage their challenges and to guide them much better than we have the ability to guide. Because it's unfair to a school principal to have a director responsible for 800 students, plus for about 70 staff members. And plus deal with the Ministry of Education with training, with workshops and planning activities and so forth. At the end of the day, the people who really get impacted are our children. You understand? So the children will benefit in any structure. I would certainly accept, and also the teachers would benefit. And what we intend to do, and we've started the discussions with a couple of universities, is a similar thing that we've done in the past, where we've had agreements with universities, University of West Indies and University of the United States, to have a specially tailored program to train these assistant deputy principals and deputy principals and heads of department, and to provide them with knowledge on management, human resource management, education management, curriculum development, syllabus development. You see what I'm saying? Basic counseling skills, so that you have a pool of people now with a high level of knowledge on how to manage human beings, how to manage human resources, how to treat with students different learning abilities as far as Piaget and others are concerned, and developmental psychology people are concerned. How to deal with staff and how to assist staff in upgrading and things. And then tomorrow morning, if you have to select a principal, because sometimes to select a principal, one principal in Dominica is almost an impossibility, because the people do not have the requisite skills to function at the management level. Not that if they're exposed to it, they will not be able to grasp it, but at the time they do not have it. You understand? And so you would have now a pool of people. So in one school, you would have the head of departments, you would have the deputy principals, and you have the assistant principal, who you could choose from to become a principal of a school in Dominica, because they would have had the requisite experience they would have had the requisite skills required for that position. And even upward mobility within the Ministry of Education as a whole, that they could be utilized and so forth. And I think there are huge benefits to be had. The other thing with regards to nursing is something we've been talking for a while. There was a proposal at the ministry for some time. Obviously, you have to go through a consultative process. But what really in nursing service, what really ignited my concern. Concern was always there, but ignite my concern. I mean, when I go to visit people at the hospital, I always take the opportunity to engage the nurses and doctors, to hear from them, how things and what can be done to help improve their circumstance. And one of the nurses said to me, look, Prime Minister, I have been working as a nurse for 16 years. I have gone to be trained in this area, that area. The people who have been appointed as ward sisters and so on, I cannot question their qualification. But what about me? I am prepared to stay in Dominica. I don't want to go to England. I don't want to go to America. I'm prepared to stay in Dominica. And for me, it's not about the salary. It's about recognizing my talents and my skills. And she's saying, look, there are people who are nurses who are specializing in the care of dialysis patients.
Yes.
There are people who are training in A&E. There are people who are trained in radiology, etc., but we don't get the recognition. And so what we're seeking to do within the public service, within the nursing service, is to have an increased number of positions in the nursing service to allow for upward mobility and to allow for the better use of the skills and the talents and the interests of our nurses. Okay, so there are numerous positions which I don't articulate because of time.
Yes.
But you're going to have almost a paradigm shift. In nursing service. And so you would have greater opportunities for upward mobility within nursing service. And the greater utilization of skills, because today, more and more, as the days go by, our nurses are getting degrees. Not only first degrees, but also master's degrees.
Yes.
That's something that was not what nurses were exposed to. Nurses go to the RN program and blah 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 and that's it. And if you're lucky, you become a ward sister and so forth. You have your black belt and so forth. But there's so many black belts that can go around. It's something a limited number of black belts. You see, now you have a brown belt, you have a red belt as different recognitions of various skills. So now you're going to have a number of positions that nurses can aspire to fulfill. And the important thing about this as well, yes, it will address the challenges confronting the nursing service, but very importantly too, it could help improving the delivery of healthcare services to our people. Because if we have to understand nurses are human beings. If they're frustrated for one reason or the other, if they're not happy for one reason or the other, these are human beings. These are people, and they're not a rock.
Yeah.
And if you move a rock, the rock will move. If you shake it, it will move. It's normal for a human being. I mean, it will reflect on the delivery of service. Not that they don't care about the patients, but it will naturally impact on the delivery of the service and so on. Because you have some wonderful nurses in this country, my brother. The wonderful nurses in this country. They work diligently in very, very difficult circumstances, and they remain loyal to the people. They remain loyal to the oath that they've taken as nurses. And therefore, we have to find ways. So I keep telling the union sometimes, it is not about a salary increase. Yes, a 5% will give you a 5% increase in your salary, but that's not what's going to impact the people who look beyond the salary. Most of us are in this country because of our love for Dominica. If we had to depend on salary, we would stay in America, we would go somewhere. But we came back here because we have an innate love for our country, and we want to make a contribution under whatever circumstance the country, because we're not unmindful or ungrateful for what this country has done for us.
Indeed.
And in my case, I didn't get $1 from the government to go and study in university, so I could have stayed. And you see, and those who don't come back.
but in terms of nursing, Mr. Isaac, with the increases in upward mobility potential for nursing, it is good that we are bringing on stream now the new national hospital.
Yes, yes. Again, the hospital, I really welcome it. I think it shows the deep thinking of the government. Is like effective planning, and planning that can reposition the country. So in every sector, and that there's in the healthcare sector, you could see a strategic plan, a strategic move for not just short term but for long term for the country. Again, we have technology coming into the hospital, and that's why I like the fact that the Prime Minister have just articulated the issue of dealing with the human resource development aspect of the hospital, because even if you have a physical structure, infrastructure, that would not is not the end of it all. You really need a proper system in place in regards to the training of the people and increasing knowledge. So again, in terms of technology, you know that we were talking about the HIFU machine that would be doing non-invasive type surgery. Again, I would like to tell the people of Dominica that Dominica again is well poised, not just looking at health just in the pure classical sense of health, but we are well positioned now, maybe within the next year, 2 years, to be accepting people more in meditourism, where, for example, you know, normally a lot of Dominicans would go overseas for specialized treatment, but now Dominica is now positioning itself now to be able to take advantage of that gap we have had for many years. And again, it's a real serious stepping stone for the country. I think all of us should really be happy for it and applaud it, and that's why I've commended our Prime Minister and members of Cabinet. I see the members of Cabinet really take things very seriously. I see a sense of discipline and focus in when we're dealing with things, and that is really one of bearing fruits for us, showing that a combination of vision and financial planning, and also looking at the overall strategic development of our country. So I'm very happy. We have the first phase of the hospital already, got it to be open very soon, and then we'll have the second phase. I think also for Roosevelt North is a major milestone that we should be celebrating in Roosevelt North. And having said that, I would like to also just touch on the issue of the cruise village and the cargo port. Again, everything there, you can see that the country itself has a proper strategic plan moving forward and a clear vision by the government and the Prime Minister as we seek to build a better, stronger economy, but using as our centerpiece the vision of being the first climate resilient country. You see that we are repositioning the issue of tourism and also the commercial aspect of the country in regard to the cargo port, where we're going to actually use new systems, you know, and technologies to actually run the port. You'll have proper, again, human resource development targeted to ensure that you have proper efficiency and increase throughput in our port. Also, the one that I find is very exciting again for tourism again is our cruise village, where we're looking at almost like the thing like St. Kitts, where you have an area where you have duty free, you have a free zone where people can come to shop. People from Guadeloupe and Martinique can use there as an area where they can be saving monies and come there and shop. Our intention there and the vision there is to increase our cruise tourist arrivals up to 1 million. So in the short term, we'll move to see we can move it from where it is there to, let's say in first instance, 500,000, and then move from the 500,000 to move to focus on again getting 1 million cruise passengers. But again, I always keep saying it's not just the numbers. It's really the impact it will have on the local economy and the constituency economy. So for example, there's significant opportunities there in the Roseau areas. With that type of facility, it will be a first-class, first-world type facility, and I think in the region, in many areas, you'll see Dominica really leading though a lot of us have not spoken about it, but I think I needed to just make a little comment on it. I think with the revolutionary approach that our Prime Minister and Cabinet has taken to the economy, but in terms of tourism, combined with the geothermal or energy strategy, I think Dominica will be a leader in the OECS within the next 3 to 5 years. Mark my word, remember I told you that it will be a leader in the OECS and even in CARICOM. So I just wanted to just highlight that. I wanted to touch on one other thing that really excited me. Not that many things excited me, but in regards to the budget addressed by our Honorable Prime Minister. But I wanted to touch on the issue of the VAT-free and duty-free for buses used in the tourism sector. Where the Prime Minister articulated that for buses less than 5 years, or less, so we say less than 5 years, moving back to brand new buses, that will be looking at the policy similar to the one in the agricultural sector, where people that want to get duty-free and pickups and vehicles used in agriculture, they get special incentives. So that there again is really positioning the country, not just looking at it just as a duty-free for buses, but looking at the overall strategy for the environment. We remember that we move and we dealt with the issue of the non-biodegradable single-use plastic, where we actually put a ban on it, and that was very, very progressive. And I would just want to commend the private sector and also our leader and the team there with the vision there. And we imagine we did not even really look at it as a marketing tool at the time, but we really get serious promotion across the world. So I think we should not look at the duty-free and the vehicles just as duty-free and vehicles, but see it as an overall strategy for the environment, putting Dominica and positioning Dominica where it really belongs. It's supposed to be a leader in the region in the issues of environment and sustainable development. And that's what is happening. So you have the plastic ban, you have this one in terms of the duty-free and vehicles, you have also where we are looking at the tree planting projects. You're looking at the issue where the Prime Minister mentioned it many years ago, and it is unfolding, and you can see it in reality if you look at, for example, in Vekas, if you look in La Plaine in terms of the beautification. And I know a lot of different areas, hamlets and constituencies and parishes are really moving ahead to look at the beautification of the country and looking at positioning Dominica as, I think, the foremost as the environmentally conscious island in the Caribbean, although all our brothers and sisters in the CARICOM region are playing their part. But I think Dominica can really lead the way, as we have done and we are continuing to do. So I just wanted to highlight those exciting parts of the budget that I really find was exciting. I'll maybe touch on International Airport, maybe after PM, touch on it. But I really think that these things we should really be excited about.
We'll touch on the International Airport before we leave, but I think we can take a few calls here.
Yes, sure, of course.
Yes, we already have a caller who has been holding on for some minutes on the overseas line. Good morning.
Good morning. Prime Minister, good morning. Minister Baptist, Joseph Isaac, good morning. PM,
Good morning. Yes.
I've been trying to call the program because I think this thing is of fundamental importance to the stability of our nation, and I commend your information this morning. I have some short questions I would like to ask for confirmation. Can you confirm for the people of this country whether it is true that Linton, in fact, wrote the financial secretary yesterday, as he said, seeking information about the matter? That's one. Two, can you confirm to the people of the country that the fees payable to the government are set out in regulations which were approved by the Parliament? Two, can you please confirm to the people or explain to the people whether the estimates have been prepared in the same form for several years, meaning that only the funds that are payable and owed to the government are recorded and disclosed in the estimates, and that it has never been the practice to include in the estimates or as government funds monies that are paid by investors, which are held in escrow account for the developers pending the approval of the application for citizenship. Can you also inform us, PM, whether the escrow account system was first used in 1993 by the Dame Eugenia Charles government? And the last 2 points I made, which I thought were very important points you made, but I just want to be clear that I understood it well, that the escrow account are joint accounts with a signatory for the developer and one, I'm assuming, the financial secretary or some other senior public officer. Could you please confirm that, Prime Minister? And that records are kept of monies coming in and distributed from the escrow account to the respective developers. I think you have dealt with all of them this morning, PM, in clear terms, but I think in your winding up, I think the people, certainly I, for the purposes of what I do, and the others, would like to get confirmation from you on these 6 short issues that I've just raised.
Sure.
If I may,
sure.
with respect, of course.
All right, thank you very much. In respect to your first question, whether the leader of the position has written to the Finance Secretary, I cannot confirm this. I will find out when I get to my office today or tomorrow whether this has been done and what is the content of his letter. Though I believe that I believe now that he recognized that with me coming on the radio, because he knew I was coming on the radio because it's public information since Monday or Tuesday, and the explanations given by informed people like yourself and Clarence and Mr. Sam Raphael, who has profound knowledge of the program. People have now recognized that it was another mischief making on the part of Mr. Linton, and so now he's trying to backpedal and appear to be responsible and appear to be ethical in his approach. None of which he is. He's not responsible, neither is he ethical in his approach. He is only interested in undermining. So, if you asked a question, you could have done it in a different way. But the intention there is not for information seeking. It's for rumor mongering, malicious undermining of the opportunities of Dominican people. Not of Roosevelt Skerrit, of the Dominican people, because at the end of the day, it is Dominica that's going to be impacted negatively by this reckless, malicious, coordinated, premeditated actions on the part of Mr. Linton. He knew what he was doing, and now that it is backfiring on him, he is seeking to appear to be responsible and smiling on news conference and so forth. Now, the second question you asked in respect to fees payable to government in regulations, all of the fees payable to government, all of the investments we made by the investors are captured in the 2014 and subsequent amendments in 2017 of the regulations, and these regulations are subject to a negative resolution in the Parliament. So yes, the Parliament approves these regulations, and they're part of the laws of Dominica, and anybody can have access to this because it is in the public domain. Okay, 3 estimates of revenue and expenditure, and where the CBI is concerned. Before we came to office, it was not a practice to submit to the Parliament as part of its estimates, the CBI. We have not only started to introduce it, we've also given it a distinct nomenclature in the estimates. So you can go to the estimates and look at the estimates and expenditure, and you could see which of the projects, which of the programs are identified to be financed by the Citizenship by Investment Program. And when we submit supplementary appropriations to the Parliament, we don't say only that it comes with local funds, local revenue. We identify the CBI funds, where those funds came from the CBI, so that there's not only transparency, there's transparency at the highest level. There's nowhere in the Caribbean that level of transparency, nowhere in the world, I would say, that level of transparency is expressed. And of course and so what we have always done and which is required by law, is that we only present to the Parliament central government's revenues and central government's expenditure. And this is why I indicated that you cannot put all of the funds that you generate from the CBI, because some of those funds go towards the construction of the hotels, and some of the funds go to the construction of the housing as per the regulations, as per the law, and as per agreements entered into between the government and the developers. So it is the government's portion of that and the funds that come from to the direct monetary fund that is captured in the estimates. And you will see, yes, you will see a decrease in the estimate in the project revenue because you have more projects that are on stream in full gear, where the housing is concerned, where the hotels are concerned, and therefore you will see a drop in government revenue because those funds that were originally, so the government's share of the market, if we put it that way, the central government's share of the market has reduced. And we knew that it's going to reduce, but at the end of the day, what do we have in Dominica? We have hotels. What do hotels do? They bring people to sleep in there, people to eat and drink, and they use our goods and services. They bring in money from outside, because only money from outside that can help you build a country. Yeah. Taking $1 from Portsmouth and driving to Roseau and spend it is not going to bring economic activity. Yes, Roseau will benefit. You know something, because you're taking money from outside Roseau to bring in Portsmouth. So these investors' investment monies cannot be captured into the estimate because they're not government revenue. And they're not government revenue. And these projects don't form part of government's public sector investment program. It is part of government's policy. It's part of government's law to facilitate those investments, utilizing the instrument of the CBI to attract investments. But we have never been in a practice. So it's not a situation where, caller, like year before last, we had included in the revenue these monies for the hotels and the housing. And this year, all of a sudden, we did not do it. Yeah. And that is the impression. That is one of the malicious, mischief-making impressions that Mr. Linton is seeking to give to the people of Dominica. Last year, the government raised $1.3 billion. And it's in the estimates. And this year, they said it's $226 million. So where's the $1 billion? And that is the impression he's giving to the ordinary person who will not have the ability to understand what is going on. And unfortunately, some people, even one or two of our supporters who start questioning these things. And people who are supposed to have university degrees. This is why sometimes I say, well, why do we have all those university degrees in this country? That people who have to use their understanding of basic things to decipher mischief making from fact finding. I just find that this country is just pregnant with people who like gossip. Any gossip we plant and we forward in these things. We forward in these things. We get somebody sends us a naked picture of somebody, we forward it until we ourselves become we have naked pictures stuck in the nose and we get upset. And how is it that we are allowing this reckless person to endanger our country, endanger our opportunities, and we're peddling this lie? So it has never been part of the estimates. It has never been part of the practice, and it's not, the law doesn't allow it to happen. And this is why I said DUASCO, DBS, Social Security, Aid Bank, all of these entities are wholly owned by the state. But we don't put their expenditure and revenue in central government because this is not, they're not part of central government. They're part of the realm of the state, of central government, but they're not central government. And therefore, their expenditure and revenues are submitted by a different mechanism in law, which is to lay on the table in the Parliament their financial statements approved by the auditors. You see what I'm saying? That's the way we go about doing it. But if we are to include DUASCO's revenue and expenditure, the Aid Bank's expenditure revenue, the DASPA expenditure and revenue, DBS expenditure revenue, and plus these hotels and the housing we're doing, you talk about a $3-4 billion budget. But the Finance Administration Act only makes provisions for you to present the expenditure and revenues of central government. This is why there's always a delineation, a separation between central government's debt, right, and national debt. So central government, there's a specific central government debt, and their debt that entities owned by the state that are exposed to the treasury have debt. And this is why you include that sometimes in national debt, because a liability of DBS Radio, a liability of Report, a liability of Social Security, a liability of Aid Bank, a liability of Duasco is a liability of the treasury. So if Duasco or Aid Bank or DBS or any of these entities owned by the state is tomorrow unable to pay its creditors, then central government is mandated to come in because this is 100% owned entity by the state, and therefore the liabilities belong to the state. So, caller, in respect to your question number 3, whether it is the same estimates, the same manner, the simple answer to that is yes, and we have never included in the estimates of revenues or in reporting actual revenues for the preceding year revenues going towards the housing and funds going to the housing and funds going to the hotels. We only report what comes into the consolidated fund, that is the government share. Escrow accounts have been managed since 1993. We've had escrow accounts in 1993, but back in the days, caller, for funds to come out from the escrow account, the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister had to authorize that. I don't authorize funds because there's an agreement, there's a transparent agreement, there's a mechanism according to the Finance Administration Act, there's a mechanism according to the regulations and the law for this to be managed. And within these agreements there are milestones. And plus you have an employed as a government agent, someone to verify whether works were done and put a cost to those works to verify what the investor is submitting is in fact what actually has been done on the site and so forth. So there's always been an escrow account. And escrow accounts have never been reported, and rightly so, as government revenue. And rightly so, because escrow really is, I'm not a lawyer, I am a financial guru, but an escrow account is money held into an account by a third party for two contracting parties. You understand? And therefore, what is government, the to government, and what the rest is held in escrow account, because we don't want to have a situation where we just give the developer all the money and so forth. So there will be checks and balances. So that is it. And the issue of the fifth question about the joint accounts. The joint account, the signatory, that is the financial secretary, and the developer. So there are two signatories. And the government cannot take money from this fund unless the developer signs on, because both sides have to satisfy themselves, and the developer can't take money unless the government signs off on it. So the letter to the banks, you'll have to have a signatory, both signatories saying, please pay to the government of Dominica into this account X amount of money, or please pay to the developer, and that money from the developer now gets out of the escrow account and goes into the development account, the projects account, to be utilized by the developer, and that's how it is, my friends. You know, and so I want to make the point there again that the real estate plan is a foreign direct investment facilitated by the government. And this is the case in all other jurisdictions. So in St. Kitts and Nevis, the government doesn't own the hotel. Okay? In the United States, the government does not own the hotel. In Cyprus, the government doesn't own the hotel or the private home that the person buys. Likewise in Malta. Likewise in Antigua and Barbuda. This is a foreign direct instrument, an instrument used to generate and to attract foreign direct investments. Because we all need the investments in our country. And in many respects, a number of things that have happened in these jurisdictions, whether it's St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua, whatever it is, could not have happened because of this. And this is why when you hear the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda speaks, he defends this program vehemently, and rightly so. Because we all need those funds. We all need those funds. And the other point I want to make, Daryl, is that the government does not sell passports. Anybody who is saying the government of Dominica sells passports is being malicious and knowingly so. Knowingly so. Malicious. Because the selling of the passports, I said, brings a certain connotation to it. You know, it's something like selling bread, selling cucumbers, selling rice. Like you go on the shelf, you go by someone, you buy it, and you give it a passport.
It's like a commodity.
And this is what he said in the CBS thing, in the CBS program. So no, how much information you give Mr. Linton must really read that he does not want to know the facts. He's not interested in the facts. And so forth. So this is malicious, because I said there are people who have applied for citizenship in Dominica who have not gone ahead to apply for citizenship and
apply for passports.
and those who apply for the passports apply in a similar fashion the way that all of us as Dominican citizens apply for passports.
Indeed.
So there are no special arrangements made for these people. You understand? There are no special arrangements made for people. The same way I apply for the passport, the same way anybody in Dominica applies for a passport, that's how these people who become citizens apply for a passport in Dominica. There's no different way. The other thing I want to reiterate, and based on the caller's question again, is that the investment in real estate is not government revenue and cannot be included in the estimates of revenue and expenditure. It's not government revenue. And if we were to do that, we would be misleading the nation. We would be misleading the nation. And we would be going contrary to law. Because the estimates on revenue is for central government, what we call the government. The government. I mean, this is governance. Zero, not 101, it's 001. This is governance 001. And if you do not understand that, how the hell are you going to become? You want to become a minister of finance of a country, a poor country like Dominica? How are you going to manage things if you don't have the basic understanding of how to prepare estimates of revenue? So this is a private transaction between a foreign investor and a local business. And when you ask him finally, Otila Jala, go to Bellevue Shopping, go to Laplane, go to Daly's, go to Chanson, Georgetown and Forson, go to Cotton Hill, go to all the homes that we have fixed.
Yes.
All the roads that we're doing.
All the roofs.
All the roofs.
Yes.
Go to Kempinski, go and eat a meal at Jungle Bay, and I will pay for the meal for you. Go and eat a meal there. Swallow your vomit and your pride and go there and tell Sam Raphael you're sorry for advising him not to build the hotel because you can see the benefit to the country of Dominica, where 62 people are employed permanently, not construction workers. 62 people are employed in the hotel, earning a daily bread, money in their pocket, food on their table, be able to buy books to send their children to school. That's what the CBI funds, my brother, has been used for. That's what the CBI funds are being used for by the people of Dominica. Now, people are seeing the tangible benefit. And as Isaac, the businessman, rightly pointed out, that there is a profoundness of the trickle-down effect of the CBI funds in Dominica. Profoundness of the trickle. There is a real trickle-down. Because what's happening, Isaac, for example, you go to all of these construction sites, and the local man will set up a local canteen outside selling food. Selling drinks. Yes. You understand? Because of these hotels and so forth, people are working. More fish selling, more meat selling, more vegetable selling, because people have money. In their CBI money. And the same money they call in Jumbie money, because they don't understand how the government, in such difficult circumstances in the world, could have money spending in Dominica, so they call it Jumbie money.
But everybody, we just curse in our country.
Call it Jumbie money. And you have some idiot candidates propagating this thing about Jumbie money. But the good Lord has a great way of causing miracles to happen. And the good Lord has been good to Dominica and good to this government, and he shall continue to be good in the foreseeable future of Dominica, because we serve a mighty God. And I am not no leader in the world who is afraid of proclaiming the majesty of the Lord and the supremacy of the Lord, and believing that there is a Lord who provides. I say that anyway, everywhere. You understand? Because I believe in it. I don't take credit for these things, my brother. I always tell people that I am just an instrument used by the Lord to carry out these things. When I help you, my brother, it is the Lord who is driving me to help you. And when you curse me for helping people, you're cursing not me, you're cursing the Lord. Amen. Because when I give to the poor, I give unto the Lord. That's what I do, my brothers and sisters. Because I believe a government has a biblical, Christian, moral, ethical duty to reach out to the less fortunate among us. And I will continue to do so as long as the people of Dominica continue to repose in me, their trust and confidence to run the affairs of Dominica. We shall continue to provide for people. So if giving somebody a free house is irresponsible, then I will continue to be responsible, because the Lord says, when I was
hungry,
homeless, what did you do to me?
Yeah.
Give me shelter.
Give me shelter. When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was in prison, did you visit me?
Yeah.
It is these things you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me. And that is what this Dominica Labour Party, which I have the profound honor to lead, has been doing for the people of Dominica. So those of you who criticize, this is why the Lord will continue to bless me. All of you, some of you who cursing and hoping that Skerrit will die and Skerrit will get sick. I'm not getting sick, I'm not dying, my brother. I proclaim that I will live for 100 years. I will not be Prime Minister for 100 years. I will live for 100 years. And he will continue to open doors. Open doors and open opportunities for this country. And where we are now after 2 years of a murder, my brothers and sisters, when the majority of Dominicans gave up hope, and rightly so.
Yes, yes.
Hope. When I walked from Mount Daniel to Central Roman for Roseau, I saw nobody who was excited about the future. Everybody's arms were broken, dreary eyes, watery eyes, saying, where are we going to start? How do we start? How do we start? Where do we start from? Watching the homes, the investments of their lifetime, and completely ruined, with no money in the bank, relying on a pension, children studying overseas,
no insurance,
alone, no insurance. And later you found out that those of us who have insurance were underinsured. A new phenomenon. And where we are today, less than 2 years after a monumental destruction of our country.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be Prime Minister. My colleagues in cabinet didn't want to be Prime Minister. I mean, those who had interest and so on. I mean, mentioned by Skerrit, I was confessing to why I had interest in the boys.
The Deputy Prime Minister is on the line. Deputy Prime Minister, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm good.
You have extended the program, officially extended the program, right?
Yes, we can go.
Yeah, because you know when the Prime Minister comes on the radio, it's almost like a national event.
Yes, it is.
You're subject to the Prime Minister and the people of Dominica for 2 hours of interaction with the Prime Minister. How are you going to explain to my baby and to Mommy and to Clefa and to the lady in Calibishi? What's her name?
Meredith.
Meredith.
Yes.
That they don't get an opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister. So I think next time, Daryl, you have to put the program about 4 hours.
We go in as long as the Prime Minister allows us to.
Okay, let me say morning to the PM and morning to Isaac. I'm not going to take morning. I'll give the real people an opportunity to call. Daryl, I'm hoping that after today's program, we will have finally put the matter raised by Lennox Linton to rest. As I said, it was a distraction. Had us there for 3 or 4 days responding to it. Our response was not really in defense because there was nothing to defend, but our response to it was to expose and to prosecute Lennox Linton, that the people of Dominica will understand the kind of man, if we can call him that, I'm not going to call him gentle or honorable, the kind of human being that you're dealing with. One embedded in hatred, jealousy, envy, and a lack of love for people and for country, as he has said with his own words and demonstrated. Daryl, this matter is the continuation of a process by Lennox Linton and his foreign agents and foreign advisors to paint our Prime Minister, to paint the leader of the country, and to paint Dominica into bad light. And the foreign operatives have found a gentleman who could think for himself. instead of think on his feet, and they have found a tool in which to use to malign our country and to malign our PM. That will also to the Prime Minister that he has the full, total, and complete backing of his cabinet, and that the cabinet has given him the latitude that he requires to continue to do what he's been doing for the last 14 years as Prime Minister for the people of this country. In every sector, Daryl, today, I'm just talking to one of my constituents, and that's the first time in the history of that family, a poor family, whose mother can hardly read and write from Pennsville, whose father is a garden maker, not a farmer, a garden maker who raises children. And today that young lady is being given an opportunity to go out there to Grambling State University to pursue her studies in tourism and the hospitality industry. First time in the history of that family, and Tom Cottage to an extent, getting an opportunity to watch something that they never envisaged in their lifetime, that one of the children, the grandchildren, will be going out there for a university education. And that's the kind of work, that's the kind of hope, that's the kind of inspiration that Roosevelt Skerrit and the Dominica Labour Party has been giving to the people of Dominica. From the cradle to the grave, Daryl, the Dominica Labour Party has been there with the people of Dominica. We have had to find creative means and creative ways to make this economy work for the people, because the traditional forms of economic activity are no longer applicable. The days when banana was king, the banana is no longer king. While there continues to be a market for bananas within the region, but the preferential treatment we have in Europe has long been gone. And so we could no longer, cannot depend on the traditional ways of economic activity to move this country in the way that we would like to do it. I'm just calling to say, PM, that as your deputy, as one of the longest serving members of the Dominican Labour Party, this is the best moment that this country has ever been in. Even after Erica and Maria, this continues to be one of the better times for the Dominican people and the Dominican public. And to tell you that I can speak now, because I'm not sure we'll have a time to speak on behalf of the cabinet, that we have our fullest trust in your honesty, in your transparency, in your accountability for every single sin that there is in this country. And I will say to you, Prime Minister, that we and you will form the next government, because the people of Dominica, as much as they may have one or two issues now and there may be some rumblings now, but deep down the people of Dominica know that the only government, the only party who has a plan for moving this country is the Dominican Labour Party. I want to pray God's blessing upon you to continue on behalf of your cap and to say to you, PM, that they tried this before. They tried on the CBS, they tried, and Leonard Clinton has been attacking your credibility, hoping that if they can kill the leader, if they can kill the shepherd, then the flock will disperse and disappear. It's not going to happen. You remain rooted in your faith in God. You remain rooted in honesty, integrity, accountability. And I'm saying, Daryl, that I'm hoping that we will no longer have to come on the radio to speak to this subject that Leonard Clinton himself does not even understand. He's been given a script by his handlers, and he cannot even and the handlers will not use him anymore because he cannot even well deliver a written script that is given to him by the enemies of the state, both local and foreign. May God continue to bless you, PM, and to reiterate to you that you have the fullest support and the fullest backing of your cabinet behind you. Thank you, good morning, and blessed day.
Thank you very much, Deputy.
Thank you. I'll give, thank you very much. I think, I'm not sure what the next program is, but we're more than willing to come back.
Yes.
Because there are a number of very exciting things I would like to highlight and explain to the people of Dominica in layman's terms, captured in the budget. Because the budget is an international document, you have to use certain language, because it's not a document only for us, because the international community gets copies and they analyze it and they look at what is Dominica proposing to do, investors, etc. So we're going to start a series of town hall meetings, as we've done in the past, to speak to these issues, among others, in terms of the budget, the investments in the country, opportunities for Dominicans, and also to hear from our residents in those respective communities. So the first town hall meeting will be held in Maho on Tuesday next week. I think Tuesday is the 13th?
Yes.
13th. So we'll be having that first town hall meeting in Maho at the Maho Community Center, and then we'll announce the dates for the following week, dates and venues. So we're going to Maho next week, a series of town hall meetings. That's the cabinet.
Yeah.
Will be hosting.
And the time PM.
The time I believe will start at 7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
So it will be really a 2-hour engagement where we give opportunities for people to ask questions and to make suggestions as to how they see the communities benefiting and what ideas they have. As we've done in the past, this is a normal feature. So I'll give Isaac the. I'm almost speaking. I'll be hosting the program. I know I will give Isaac. I'll follow to you.
Before we go, there's someone who has been holding on the line for 28 minutes. Let's just give them a few seconds. On the overseas line, good morning.
Daryl, I'm going to let the PM give me a top-up. Don't worry. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I know you have held on long. I can only give you 1 minute.
Good morning to my pirate from Goodwill. PM, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. Thanks. Brilliant.
Yeah. PM, I would rather you come on our show. You haven't been there in a while. I'd rather you come on the show and talk about that $100 million the World Bank gave you for the new houses.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I know you said that, and this is the kind of things I want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in no $1 billion. Yesterday he went up by another $1 billion, so it's $2 billion now. That is gross money. I'm not interested about that. I want you to come on our show and talk about bridges, roads, development, this kind of thing. That's what I want to hear.
There's $104 million out there. We have monies already available for housing. That we believe we need to share the information with the public as to how they can benefit. I agree with you. Agriculture, $6 to $7 million from the World Bank. Monies that are already in the bank. For fishermen who want to buy boats and build boats and buy outboard motors and invest in agriculture. So there are a number of things that will come back. I agree with you. Next time I come back, I'll be focusing heavily on those things, so that we can articulate those things. We can explain to the people how they can apply, how they can benefit. It is what I'm saying. The small business unit continues to provide grants, to these people. The hotels that are there, how do you position yourself to get a direct job, or also to provide a service to this hotel? So I agree with my brother, and rest assured, your admonition to me is well taken, and you'll hear me articulating those things. I'm not going to be responding to the internet at all. I felt that it was necessary for me to come to educate the Dominican people, and to further inform them of the CBI program, and to set aside this malicious, dangerous, unethical, calculated mischief making by Lennox Clinton. So that's the last you'll hear from me on this matter. I'm moving on.
All right. PM, final words?
This is my final words. I pass it to Isaac.
Yes. I just want to make an appeal to Dominicans here and abroad. We were damaged by Hurricane Maria. People know my background from where I come from. I made a decision after Maria to give Dominica the support and to give full support to the Honorable Prime Minister. I'm appealing to a number of people. Some of them would consider themselves to be independent people in terms of politics. They don't say that they support any party or another party. So I call them the independent. I'm appealing to you, and I'm also appealing to a lot of people who supported me when I was on the United Workers' Party side. I'm appealing to you to come on board with me, to join, to help Dominica, to come on board with me, to give the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit the support. I'm saying that because we have seen where Lennox Clinton is showing a lack of understanding of public finance, a lack of understanding of how the economy runs, and also he has shown, one, a malicious approach, a dishonest approach, and an unresearched approach to dealing with issues that confront us in this country. So once and for all, I want to tell people this was one of the reasons, even before Mario, that I'd already indicated that I would not run for the United Workers' Party. Because I saw that a lot of times things are not done properly by the leader of the United Workers' Party. I want to say thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Dominica. Thank you for listening to us this morning.
Thank you very much.
It is safer with labor.
Definitely.
Safer with labor.
Yes.
By any measure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you for joining us this morning. That's where we come to the end of an extended program this morning. And again, also thanks to the listeners of DBS Radio who joined this morning. Until we're back tomorrow morning with another program, I'm Directed. Do have a very good morning.
Thank you.